Hey guys, welcome back to another episode and thanks so much for joining along. So this episode we're going to be working on getting my ceiling all put together, and I believe in the last episode we already got the insulation up, so all we got to do is start putting the planks through and we should be good. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below and I'll get right back to you. Thanks.
Hey everyone, if you've been following my journey, you know I've had a taste of van life before. It was amazing, but my old van's condition forced me to sell it and head back to Hawaii. I started working hard, saving every penny for my next big adventure. And guess what? The wait is over. I bought a 2017 Ford Transit in Salt Lake City, Utah, and took an epic cross-country road trip to Maine with my dad to build it out myself. This van build has been an absolute blast, and I can't wait to hit the road. But that's not all. Just like last time, van life won't stop my international travels. I'm gearing up to balance life on wheels with exploring the globe, because there's just too much out there to see. I'm thrilled to bring you along on yet another incredible adventure. Stay tuned and enjoy the ride.
Alright, so now that insulation is covering the roof, got this. It's kind of like what you wrap houses with when you're all finished with the framing and everything. It's gonna act as my vapor barrier. So I'm gonna run a whole thing down, staple it into the wood, and keep doing that until it's fully covered, and then obviously cut out the hole for my vent fan. And then after that, we will be ready to put in the wood for the roof, ceiling. Okay, so one last thing I got to do before we start putting the ceiling on is I need to put together whatever connections that are not going to be hanging out, like these lights. These can stay out right now, but things that are going to be under the ceiling that can't be snipped away or tucked away, that needs to be taken care of right now. Things like my vent fan, as well as the lights that turn on when I open the door. So gotta get that done, which I just went to the store and got some lever nuts. So that's what we're gonna use, since we have multiple gauge wire going into each other, so that'll make life a lot easier. One issue though was that right here, these are the plugs that connected to the lights that turned on. Right here was one whenever you open the door. So this is the wire that runs down there to where I want my LEDs. But I didn't know what was negative and what was positive, because one wire is a green and gray, and one is blue and white. So all I did was I just went out, grabbed my puck lights, because they have their wires labeled 12 volt positive, 12 volt negative, and I just stuck it in here to see which one. So I plugged in the positive, and then so I have the negative. Positive I put in the green and gray, and the negative I'm putting in the blue and white. And if that is the correct cords, then this should light up. Cables, not cords. Oh shoot. Yeah, so when the negative goes in, turns on. So we've got negative is the blue and white one, positive is the gray and green. Okay, so this is going to be the wires for the fan itself, and this is the wires that I ran. So all you got to do is you have two of those 2-port connectors, and I'm going to put both positives in this one and both negatives into this one. And that's going to connect the 14 gauge to, or 12 gauge to probably 18. That'll make it way easier. Okay, and then just to test it, we got a 12-volt battery. We're just gonna connect the positives and negatives. I gotta strip it first.
Yeah,
Gotta strip it. Okay, and he's gonna put on the positive, negative to negative, and I'm gonna flip the switch.
Red is positive.
Yeah.
Okay, we got red on positive. Okay.
Got it. Sweet.
Okay.
First thing works.
Then it was just time to connect the door LEDs so it can be tucked away before the ceiling goes up.
And you can tell when you've made it through good because those are the strands and it's pushed down and crushed onto this little metal piece.
Now that we have all the connections finished up, it's time to start planning the ceiling pattern. The panels I got are only 8 feet long, so too short to reach end to end, meaning that I'll need to find a good pattern to stagger the boards. Thanks to Dad's job, we threw measurements into AutoCAD and started planning the best looking pattern that would work with our cross-member locations.
Okay, so it's a new day, and kind of what we were struggling with yesterday was my boards are 8 feet long, but obviously the van length is a little bit over, I think it's around 11 feet for at least the ceiling length. And those cross members, the battens that I'm screwing everything into, they're kind of weird inches. So it's like 10 and a half, 31, 70, 99, 131. And so Dad's a drafter and designer, so he just threw this up on CAD and basically made it work. So this kind of explains where all the seams are gonna go. Because I didn't want a line of seams that were obvious. I wanted everything staggered, kind of like flooring, just like this kind of stuff, you know? So we were able to make it work, and it looks like there's a possibility. So I bought 5 bundles with 6 boards in it each. It's a possibility I might be able to finish it all with 4 bundles, but I'm not worried about opening the 5th if I need to. So we have this all planned out. Got the middle one in already. And so basically I'm just gonna start by spreading out from the middle. Can't wait. Hopefully by the end of the day I'm gonna have a ceiling in, or at least the middle part of the ceiling. The edges are gonna be a little rough because the van isn't straight, you know, there's gonna be things popping out and everything, but using my gauge contour and a lot of measurements and just planning, I think we'll be able to get it all perfect, but we'll definitely have most of the roof in today, which is crazy to think about. So there's gonna be a few spots we have to stop. It's somewheres along, like when we get around here, because that's when it's time to drill the puck hole lights. And I don't have to install the puck lights just right now, but I need to have the wires running through so then I can continue putting the ceiling up. So it's gonna be a busy day. Okay, so we're getting there. It's looking good. It's definitely a little bit of a struggle at this part where it starts to curve down, but my boards are 5/16 of an inch, so they've been able to bend pretty good. We've had a few cracks, like right here and right here, but other than that, it's been pretty good. I'm gonna poly and stain it. Well, stain and then poly it at the end later on, so that should be okay. It's not gonna be much of an issue, and I'm not too picky about my ceiling. I just really wanted it to get up here and then have the staggered boards look good. So I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. We're now at the part where the light holes are ready to be drilled basically, but I'm gonna put a few more in just to hold it while it gets drilled. So like, this is the board that is gonna have some, so I'm gonna put another one here, and then we'll stick the wires through. And then this is the board, this one is the board that's gonna have some as well. So I'll also add some more, but it's gonna be a little interesting when we add them here. But we're just going with the flow of it, and I'm stoked to see ceiling in my van. Amazing. Now that I have the first hole drilled through, I just want to make sure that we get them as lined up as I can. Now it's just time to continue with the ceiling boards and tackle the front curve.
Alrighty, so ran out of screws. I bought the wrong gauge screws and I tried to use them. They weren't pulling in. It was kind of splitting. So gotta return these and get different screws, but that'll have to be a thing for tonight. I only have a few hours left of daylight, so what I'm gonna do is I have exactly enough of those lever nuts that I was showing you, and basically I'm just gonna wire up my lights and just stick them in. So I have 6 in the ceiling that we just drilled, and then 2 are gonna go under the imaginary cupboards that aren't there right now in the kitchen. So I have exactly enough lever nuts to do these 6 on the roof, and then I'm just gonna inlay them. I did test to make sure they could come out easily just by getting your nail under and pulling, so I can get them out of the way when I go to stain everything. But I will get that all wired up now while I have some daylight, because I can't go farther with the ceiling, but I am very happy with how far we've gotten, and it's looking good.
going to show you how to hook up a puck light to your wiring that you ran through your van. And this is going to be on a daisy chain, so there's multiple lights hooked up in a row. That's why we have 2 wires, because this one comes from this light and this one goes to that light, and it's a whole circuit. And so what we do is we're going to connect the positives all together and the negatives all together with the help of these lever nuts. So it has 3 spots, so 3 positives will go into this one, then I have another one, and the 3 negatives will go into this one, and we'll just tuck it up and push it in, and it should be all put together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate these wires, and we want to give us some working space. So we're going to disconnect the positive and negative just by pulling just like that. We have a little bit of extra on this, so I'm actually going to cut this. And then we need to strip off a bit of it so that copper wire is exposed. So when we put it into the lever nut, it can clamp down on the wiring. So this is 12 gauge. We're just gonna set it to 12. Okay. Okay, and with our puck lights, the wiring is all white. So we have to trim this wiring down because what they gave us is a ton. And I really only want about this much of it. So they did label which one's positive and which one's negative on this wire. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna separate down to which one, or to what area we want it. Well, right here. And the reason I'm separating it instead of just cutting is because if I were to cut, the label won't show me which is positive, which is negative. I could figure that out, but I just don't want to have to deal with that. So we're gonna cut this one first, which is negative. So just cut the negative wire to the amount that I want. We're gonna leave the positive uncut so we know what we're working with. And we just strip the wire, just like we did up there. Okay. And now we connect all the negatives. Okay, so we're gonna take this one first. We remember it's negative. I'm gonna open one of the levers, place it in. Oops, place it in. Then clamp it down. It'll clamp down onto it and then press the wires up against this metal backing. And then we're gonna take a black wire, which is our negative, put it in the next spot. Get these wires out of the way. Okay, clamp down on it. Then we'll grab our third black wire. And I just twist them because it's stranded wire just to make them a little tighter. Clamp down. And now all our negatives are tied together. So what I'm going to do next is, I know this is a positive. I'm going to cut this and just finish it off.
Now all that's left to do is finish up the last boards.
Okay, so now we're getting to the part where the van is no longer gonna take a full board. So basically, we're set on this one all the way up until about here. And then this piece specifically juts out, and we only get 2 3/8 width, where these are 3 3/8. So I measured the distance right here, right? And I marked that right here, because this it's upside down, that's why. So it's right here, this is how much we're keeping. And then I just used my contour gauge, and I marked where that board ends, because I cut it a little bit shorter because I've been overhanging this. This is my board now. So I've been overhanging quite a bit. So I ending it right there. And all I did was I just lined that up, and then I just pushed this contour gauge onto the wall to get this shape, right? And then all you gotta do is you just line up the end with the end of the board, and you just put it there. Obviously, it's not like perfect, but if I were to push over here when I was up there, it would have been, but you get the hint. You just draw the line there, and that's what we cut out. Not too bad. Okay, so got that piece cut out. We're gonna go test it. Unfortunately, the footage showing off the finished ceiling was lost due to technical issues. However, it can be seen in the next episode when we go to tackle the walls. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'm excited to continue showing you the progress of the build. If you like following along, a like, comment, and share of this video helps me out a ton. Until next time, see ya.